In general, critics agree the first Yooka-Laylee game was a bit of a disappointment. It was fun to revisit the style of Banjo-Kazooie-like 3D platforming, but overall, the game missed the mark. Playtonic Games is once again going back to its rare roots, and the Chameleon Bat duo have returned in an all-new adventure, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. This time around, Rare's Donkey Kong Country franchise is the source of inspiration. I had been eagerly awaiting the arrival of the Impossible Lair, since the Donkey Kong Country series contains some of my favorite platforming games of all time. In many ways, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair exceeded my expectations. It's chock full of new twists on classic level design. For example, the traditional level select or overworld screen has been reimagined as a fully realized top-down land for players to explore. Here you can solve puzzles, uncover secrets, and interact with Yooka-Laylee's great cast of characters. Each level can be manipulated on the overworld. Some examples are freezing, flooding, or adding extra enemies. This creates all new hazards within the stage, creating a unique experience depending on which version of the level you play. Honestly, at first I found this frustrating, since I thought I was playing a pure platformer, and I didn't enjoy having to unlock more levels by solving overworld puzzles. Eventually, the overworld grew on me when I realized there were just as many secrets to uncover outside the levels as there were inside. As unique as this game's overworld is, the real meat on this turkey can be found in the well-crafted platforming levels. Yooka and Laylee control near perfectly. Movement feels great, roll jumping to cross a gap feels natural. Laylee can even run on Yooka as he rolls to plow through boxes or enemies, and when they come out of the roll, Yooka has an added speed boost. In addition to the continuous rolling, Laylee also gives Yooka additional hang time during jumps, and a ground pound move called the Buddy Slam. One of the best changes to the Donkey Kong formula that Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair made is what happens when Yooka and Laylee take damage. When I got hit in Donkey Kong Country and Diddy Kong started to run away, I always wanted to be able to chase him down and stop him from running and get him back. You can do this in the Impossible Lair. This may not have blown anyone else's mind, but I think it is one of the coolest mechanics in this game. When Yooka takes damage, Laylee starts to fly away and hangs around on the screen for a few moments. Getting her back allows you to keep taking the additional hit. If she escapes, you can bring her back with a Laylee Bell scattered throughout the stages. Another great departure from the old DKC formula is the removal of lives and game overs. This is one of the things the game really gets right. The game is difficult enough to where the player doesn't need the added insult of getting kicked back to the beginning of the stage or a world after they run out of lives. It also encourages exploration to find secret twit coins or alternate exits that drop the player to parts of the overworld they wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. The very idea of the Impossible Lair is genius. Being able to attempt to finish the game at any point, regardless of how many levels you've beaten, is a great challenge. It reminds me of the feeling when I found out I could just run straight to Ganon in Breath of the Wild. It also resulted in the same conclusion, getting completely wrecked. Unless you are a master, you need to power up by finding members of the Beatallion at the end of each level. Every bee you rescue gives Yooka an additional hit in the Impossible Lair, which has no Laylee Bells or checkmates, which are this game's checkpoints. This game may not be a direct sequel to Yooka-Laylee's 3D platforming adventure, but remains a massive collectathon. There are over 60 tonics which add buffs, debuffs, or a visual gag. They are fun to experiment with, and I was always excited to see which tonic I had found and eager to try it out in a stage. Once the tonics are found, they can be purchased with quills, which are essentially this game's bananas, or coins, or rings, or lums. You can really just insert your favorite floating collectible here. In addition to collecting tonics and quills, there are hundreds of twit coins needed to unlock all the levels. You can't talk about The Impossible Lair without talking about its fantastic music. The soundtrack is composed by David Wise, known for his incredible work at Rare, especially the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country trilogy and Tropical Freeze. Knowing that Donkey Kong Country is the inspiration for this entire game, there really couldn't be a better choice for composer. The music underscores each level wonderfully. The Factory Stages song is infused with industrial-sounding metallic clangs, and in contrast, the Frozen stage has a serene melody emphasized with bells and a jolly synth track. The ambiance created by this great score brings this whole game to another level. And even though Yooka-Laylee is filled with puns, no pun intended. I really enjoyed Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair, but the most impossible aspect of this game is not the final level. It's trying to play it without comparing it to other modern platformers like Retro's Donkey Kong Country Returns series. Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair just isn't quite as good. The level designs, obstacles, and enemies from Returns and Tropical Freeze are extremely cohesive. If you encounter a massive blade, it's because it's chopping wood in a mill or slicing fruit in a factory. On the other hand, in Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair, random spikes are just in the walls of a house or attached to a track. There isn't a real explanation for it other than it's a possible booby trap placed by Capital B. If you like side-scrollers and games with lots of collectibles, you will find a lot to love in Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair. Playtonic Games took some risks by adding their own twists to the genre, and for the most part, they paid off. With all that being said, we here at the Game Pack give Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair an 8 out of 10. Have you got a chance to try Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe for future reviews, news, and other video game content, including our weekly podcast, The Packcast. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.